The Survivor Specialist Phil and Will are back, and today we are recapping episode number 6 of Survivor 49. Will, do you think Sage was over Shannon? Do you think that Sage had had enough of Shannon's antics by the end of this episode, or do you think she was having a lovely, wonderful time being around Shannon by day 11 or 12, whatever the hell it was here?
I don't know if Sage hated Shannon as much as it appeared to be. I think the handshake non-hug was extremely telling, and that I think Sage is such a genuine person. Like, really, I believe she is. And for her having to put on this fake charade for Shannon, now 3 tribes in a row of having to pretend to like her, I think was eating at her. And now that she's gone, now that she was officially voted out and going to get her torch, it was, I don't have to be fake to you anymore. I do not want to hug you. So I will hug you later. And I'm sure they've made up. And I'm actually sure these two could be real friends in real life. I actually believe that. Maybe people might hear that, or Phil, you might hear that and say that's insane. But I could see them being friends outside of the environment of Survivor, especially when they were gunning for each other and Shannon was pretending and then Sage had to pretend. It was such a facade both ways that I think Sage was ready to see Shannon go. And when it came to that point of, I'm not even going to hug you because it would be fake and I cannot fake this anymore.
It was so, I got to say, it was so refreshing to see somebody react like that to somebody being voted out, because you could tell Sage's facial expression. She was going full Carolyn at points in this episode, and she was doing it last week too, where she's just making the facial expressions after Shannon says something to her, where she's just trying to bite her tongue, but it's getting harder and harder and harder every day as it goes by. And it seriously was so refreshing to see somebody who voted somebody else out. Normally we see Stacey Powell back in South Pacific had an infamous one where coach goes, everybody get up and give Stacey a hug. And Stacey goes, nah, I'm good, and just walks out. But to watch the person who did the voting out essentially be, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not having to play pretend anymore. I'm so glad this is over. And you could feel that for her, right? She was so glad it was over. I appreciate that. I was pretty hard on Sage to start the season because the editors, I think, did a terrible job just telling us about her poop and pee for 3 weeks. But the last couple episodes, she's been electric. And tonight, she was great. And she was the star of this episode. And I really appreciated what she brought, because way too many people in New Era Survivor are almost, what do they call it, media trained, right? So often we use that phrase when somebody's used to talking to the camera, knows what to say. They've been media trained. Feels like so many New Era people are media trained to Survivor. They know what to say. They know what not to. They know it's going to get backlash. And Sage is just, screw this. I'm over it. This is what I want to do. And I just thought it was awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Sage has been the star not only of this episode, but I would say last week's episode also.
I agree.
I mean, so much of that centered around this Sage for Shannon battle. And I mean, I like this episode. I still think I like last week better. But Phil, I mean, we had posited last week, and hey, maybe you don't agree, and maybe some of the listeners don't agree. Like, was this the worst pre-merge of the New Era? I'm kind of sitting here thinking it is.
We forgot about 46, man. It's got to be 46.
46 had at least some highs, though. Like, it had the Jelinski episode. I mean, the premiere of 46 was great. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the premiere of 46 is really good. I'll give you that. But everything after that in that pre-merge is terrible. And the back-to-back Banus, that second Banu episode was the most torturous thing I think.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. But at least it was those 2 episodes. This felt like I don't feel like we got a great. I mean, maybe last week we are going to call it great because it's next to all the other episodes. But I don't know if there was any significant highlight of this premiere, like nothing to write home about, nothing that's gonna become an iconic Survivor moment. I mean, maybe this handshakes no hugs thing will catch on. This probably is the moment of the pre-merge, but I don't know. I
think Jake getting medevac is the moment of the pre-merge, and I think that as people move away from it, they might not think necessarily so much about what was everything that was going on with that medevac, because obviously we had kind of a negative reaction to it. We didn't understand really what was going on. But I do think that'll be the moment that people cling on to. And I do think the one thing that this season has going for it right now that could actually make the pre-merge better on a rewatch is if Sophie or Alex were to take this thing all the way to the end. Because then I do think that this pre-merge becomes a little bit better because you're watching their story. I'm not saying it makes it that much better. And I know we watched Kenzie's story in 46. I just think Jess, Banu, that's probably my least favorite stretch of 3 episodes, counting even season 41 of the new era. I hated that stretch of episodes so much. It killed it. So I think I'd probably put this above that. But again, we're at this point, it's bottom 2. it's bottom 2. It's not close. And I just think
you were arguing 44 last week.
We were, but I think that people started pointing out things with 44 and talking about with Carolyn and stuff, and people in comments were correct. I will admit that I was probably wrong on 44. 46
Will was right.
You're never right. You were just a little bit more right. You weren't right though. You were just like, you were right-ish. But at the end of the day, we're coming out of this. I'm not feeling great about what I've watched for 6 weeks. I am feeling pretty good though about the merge. I'm not feeling bad about this. I feel like this vote is going to be very important to what takes shape next, because I do feel like Savannah is going to be pissed that Shannon is gone. Jawan brought that up in this episode. She could be using that as an excuse to try to get rid of Jawan. Uli's not all kumbaya anymore. We'll have to see what Alex is like when he gets back. I truly think Jawan, Steven, and Sage could be an alliance, get MC back, get Christina back. There's potential here. And so I am feeling pretty good going into this pre-merge, or going into the merge. I can't say that's how I felt about 46. 46 just ended up being electric in the post-merge, but I didn't feel that it was like gaining momentum. This season is certainly gaining momentum, and maybe the storyline can stop being, it's so hot out, this is the toughest first 11 days, boo-hoo, cry, cry, cry. Guatemala still exists. Give me a break.
I love that they almost needed to be like, it's so hot out, still great for vacation. Like still come on down to Fiji because we're getting tax breaks from the Fijian government to come shoot here and employ so many people and do what they do for tourism. But it's like, it's not too hot if you want to come hang out. It's just really hot if you're playing Survivor.
Well, you know what? I know you're in LA. I'm over here in South Florida. It was 86 degrees today. Okay. And it's October 29th.
Dude, I have 93 over here. And I was just in I was in Lake Tahoe, and then I was in Boston, and in Boston was like high 40s. And I get back to LA, it's low 90s. Just
crazy.
Unreal.
And my point with bringing that up is, imagine now what it is in these places in July and June, and I am the idiot who will go for a run at 1 p.m. and I know that makes my brain turn into mush and I'm on fire when I get done. But I'm just saying, there's a movie. Do you know the movie Perfume? Came out years ago. It was based on a book at Dustin Hoffman. So there's this movie called Perfume where essentially it's this guy making a perfume that's supposed to be like the best smell ever. The movie's not very good because it's really hard to portray a scent on film. And that is kind of what I feel like we're running into here on Survivor 49. I don't like, you can keep telling me it's super hot. I know it's been hotter. I know we had Koh Rong. I know we had Cambodia. I know we had Guatemala. I know we have had Africa. There have been worse situations, and just constantly telling us it's super hot, it does nothing for you. Give us a heat. Like my wife keeps saying, give us a heat index at the bottom. Tell us what the temperature is. The fact that they're not doing that tells me it's probably not that hot. It's probably like 90 and everybody's just dying.
Yeah, I think you're dying anyway because you're on Survivor, and then it happens to be really hot. But I don't know. Have you spent any time in the outdoors? I would way rather have it be too hot than it be too cold or
100%.
be raining. Like if it rains, you cannot sleep. Like you literally cannot sleep at all. All your clothes get wet. You get your feet and hands shrivel up. Like it is miserable. And then it's windy, it's cold, and you're shivering. Like if it's hot, at least you can go hop in the ocean.
Yeah.
Take a swim. You're on vacation. I don't know. I'm not saying it's easy, but yeah.
It rained 21 days on Survivor Philippines, 21 straight days on Survivor Philippines, which we're going to be doing for Every Season Matters coming up next month. And they're totally dead. They named their tribe Dang Rain because it's so brutal. It's brutal. And I just think it's not getting across. And I almost feel like Jeff was trying to use it as an excuse tonight for Christina passing out, when Christina clearly just had a panic attack over the fact that the tribes were swapping and, the blood pressure drops or whatever, and everything goes. I don't know, man. I don't necessarily connect. Here's Cody Bremen. with a super chat. I think this season has not been as bad as everyone says. The 10 people we are meant to care about are electric. I think there's 9 people we're meant to care about. I'm struggling to find the 10th. I think Christina is maybe towing the line of being cared about, but Sophie Segretti is absolutely not somebody we've been told anything about. And I feel like with Christina, I don't think many people watched Christina tonight and said, wow, good for her. I think a lot of people watched Christina tonight and rolled their eyes and said, it's been 49 seasons. We're watching somebody pass out because it's hot and they had a tribe swap. I mean, how many tribe swaps have we seen? We haven't seen people pass out, get pissed, and move on. I don't know. I didn't really connect with this moment. I got to be honest.
No, I was tough for me. It's like, are we blaming the heat for this? Like when she walked in, it was already hot, and it wasn't upon more heat that she passed out. It was on the news of the tribe. So it was clearly an emotional reaction and not a physical one. And it's almost like the heat is this kind of shadowy figure that we can just kind of blame everything on. Like, oh, well, Jake, the bite wasn't venomous, but it's really hot out. So we're going to pull you from the game. And like, Christina, I know the tribe swap must have shook you up mentally, but it's also really hot out. So we keep just bringing up how hot out it is. It should be hot out. Survivor.
And Jeff was out of breath today, and Rizgod says, you hurting too? Yeah, it's brutal out here. It just feels manufactured, man. It feels manufactured. I'm sorry. I got to keep it real. It feels
like,
manufactured.
I'm sure that like this is probably one of the hotter seasons they've shot in Fiji. Like how many seasons have they done in Fiji now? 18?
Wow.
So
we just said that at the same time. That was weird, dude.
Did we just nail it? I mean, did some quick math there. I mean, one of the 18 seasons needs to be the hottest. And like, I'm not saying this isn't the hottest, but I think you bring up the best point here. We can't feel it. We're not out there. Yeah. So it's hard to convey that. It's like the smell-o-vision. Were you ever getting to smell-o-vision with perfume? Because they tried that in some theaters at some point. They would put smells out to really get you in there, and that never took.
Never took. No, perfume didn't do that. Perfume was like 2005, 2006. I think smell-o-vision had been dead for about 4 decades by that point.
That's like what, the 60s or the
yeah, I think it was the 60s. So, yeah. It's like I got the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Look, it's spooky season, right? We got 2 days until Halloween. I got the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I got all the Universal horror movies, and that movie is 1954, and it's got the 3D version on the what do you call it, on the DVD, and it just makes me laugh to think that they were putting out Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D. Like, why? I don't know. Because they wanted to. Because 3D was the fad for like a year in the 50s.
I feel like that we've had like iterations of the fad of 3D, where it's always going to be the next big thing. Remember 3D TVs were going to be the new deal?
Oh, yeah.
And then I have not ever seen one.
No, and then Avatar came out in 2009, 2010. Everything was 3D. They were retrofitting movies for 3D, and then it just totally died because people hated wearing 3D glasses, and people would take the 3D glasses, so the theaters lost all the money.
Yeah, we're really getting into this episode, aren't we?
You know, I'm bringing all of this up. It's proving the point of it's just not coming across. And so what can I understand? Sophie Bellardi getting food tonight, I can understand that. She has not eaten in 11 days. It has been rough for her. I'm sitting here on my couch. I'm eating. I just had dinner. Everything's great. I can understand that. That's what Survivor's about, right? Like, I can get behind. I haven't eaten. I'm dying. You see Sophie's energy level take an incredible turn. Last week at Tribal Council, she's sitting there and she's got the restless leg syndrome. The legs are going in and out 100 miles an hour. She's not talking. She's not lifting her eyes. You can just tell that's one of those days. I just have a headache. I don't even want to talk to anybody. She gets a little food and now she's doing a great job. And I think that's the type of stuff we can understand. I'm sorry, but I can't empathize with Christina going down in this moment. And this isn't like I don't dislike Christina for this. I just can't empathize with it. And if that's supposed to be this big moment, if Jeff's going to be doing his Dalton Ross interview after this saying that was such a great moment, that was awesome, he's totally out of touch with what the fan base wants, because I don't think anybody's sitting down going, wow, we need more Christinas on the show now so we can watch people pass out after 48 seasons of nobody passing out when a tribe swap gets announced. I just think that's silly. So, whatever. We got to get into the tribe swap and stuff. I just need to say my piece on that. I don't feel like that's good. That's not a good thing that this happened.
No, right. I mean, I think you want players that know the game and are prepared for the game well enough where if a tribe swap happens, they don't pass out. But, that could be scary. It's definitely, it's a moment they had to include in the episode. I don't blame them for including it.
Oh, it had to be there for sure.
But I don't know how impactful that is, or if you're like, I don't know. I was never fearing that she was going to be pulled from the game or anything. No. Like, I thought it was just, you had a little attack because you're switching tribes.
Well, but
I mean, at least they fully surprised the players here, because even when they do tribe swaps, a lot of the time, I mean, you probably heard from some players, Phil. You've talked about every single player who's played in the new era, it seems like. And I don't. This might be too inside baseball, but their mics are always put strategically on the players, and the buff is often one of the most perfect places to hide the mic, where viewers can't see it, but it's still close enough to the output, the volume that coming from your mouth, that they can pick up audio clearly while not ruining the camera shots and looking like you're covered in tech and wires, because with challenges, they are mic'd up. And then when they do a challenge before a tribe swap, they have to hide the mic elsewhere, and they say they don't put in their buff. So players kind of figure it out. And so here, I do honestly believe that all of these players were like, we are merging. We are down to 12. Yeah. I don't care if there's 3 lanes. I'm going to instantly think what Will thought last week, and that we're going to have 3 tribes of 4, but it's not tribes. It's just for the mergatory. And this actually might have been like the actual surprise. And that might have been the creative on this. Like, how do we really surprise them? And someone maybe said, well, instead of merging, swap again, because they're already going to have their mics oriented in a way which they're able to remove their buffs. And so I think they were floored. So at least kudos on Survivor for that. Again, I said I was not a fan of this tribe swap last week. I think taking 12 people who have already been shuffled up, who already started on 3 tribes, putting them into 3 groups of 4, I think you are getting so close to the point of rolling dice that like the players have such little power in this game, and they're losing it every season, it feels like, Phil, that, man, like we were lucky that this tribe lost, because this was at least, I think, maybe the most interesting, where there could have been an argument for Juwan, there could have been an argument for Shannon. Hey, there could have even been an argument for Steven. I know probably heading into this vote, from what we saw, it was a very clear, okay, Shannon's going home here. I mean, that's what I felt wholeheartedly. I'm sure you felt that way likewise, Phil, because you watch it with a discerning eye. But man, if any of those other 2 tribes go, like, imagine Nate just gets sniped like that, or imagine Rizzo.
This is how they would have lost Sophie Belardi.
Rizzo, Sophie, or Savannah gets idled out from MC. Like, those would have been 2 terrible, terrible outcomes for this season. So the show, I think, gets lucky here, but I cannot tell you, Phil, 3 tribes of 4, you are just leaving it so much to luck in the way the tribe shook out. And again, I was not happy with the way the first tribe went down. I think they left it up to luck again there. And yeah, I mean, I think we can say this was an okay outcome, but to not be results oriented, they should never do this again. It's too random.
Here's my thing. I agree with that. This is one of those moments that really worked out. I'm fine with the 3 tribes. I really am, because look, they've done all these different iterations of Mergatory. They've done it where at 13 they do it, at 12 they do it. They've done Hourglass. They've done all this stuff. I'm okay with doing something different, trying something new. Fake merge in Thailand didn't work worth shit. The twist in Africa worked great, right? You get Pearl Islands, the Outcast twist doesn't work. Vanuatu men versus women does work. So season 10, you get the one world twist before they call it one world.
Amazon men versus women.
Well, Amazon, yeah, and then Vanuatu. I was more going
Don't
in
give
the
that
order.
credit.
Don't you're right. You're right. You're right.
Vanuatu.
Well, okay, so Vanuatu had the tribe swap where Sarge and Scout got to pick the tribes, and I actually think that kind of worked. Here's the thing. I'm okay with them trying stuff once. They can't sit here and say, that was a great moment, let's do this again. They need to understand that they got very lucky here. I'm not going to complain about this tribe swap. I think this is more interesting than Mergatory. This, again, helps give an identity to a season, which the new era seasons all blend together. Very few of them have identities. The China pre-merge swap sucks. It's awful. It's still my favorite season. And so when I watch this happen, the way it shook out, I say, okay, let's see how these players go. If Nate goes here, I'm pissed. If Sophie B goes here, I'm pissed. Because you got to remember, Rizzo would have played his idol. If MC plays her idol, Savannah's not getting the vote. Sophie B's going home. That sucks. So that would have been bad, but they got the best outcome. Be happy it worked this time. Maybe you want to do 3 tribes of 5 in a future season that starts with 20 or something like that. Don't try this again. I hope they don't. But it honestly could not have worked out any better for them, because you said it was an okay result. This was an excellent result.
Oh, I don't think it was
excellent.
I don't think it was excellent. It was excellent in that you didn't get the other two results. So the best case scenario here with which tribe going, yeah, best case scenario. I don't think that was anything. It wasn't anything good. It wasn't anything special. I was half there thinking when they had Christina tying up the sticks and she was just throwing the sticks. I'm like, oh man, are they throwing this to get rid of Nate?
Dude,
because
what was she doing?
That's what I felt. I'm like, that wouldn't be that bad of a move if you are Uli. Wait, Uli's yellow. Who's yellow?
No,
Hina?
Uli's red. Hina's yellow.
If you're original Hina and you just lost Matt and Jason back to back, and now you have a clean shot to take out Nate, I thought that's what was happening, and then the show wasn't going to be upfront with us, and they weren't going to tell us that, and I was going to come on here and yell at you and be like, Bill, they threw the challenge. I don't care what they said. I don't know why they didn't throw the challenge, but it clearly looked when Christina was just throwing that stick and it was not tied up together at all. Actually, a surprising ending there where they end up coming back and just nailing it. And then we do have the most interesting tribe going. So sure, you can say best case scenario, Phil, but I don't think the risk here, the upside for this tribe going was not worth the other two outcomes. That would have been like detrimental to the season and storytelling as a whole.
But that's again where I'm just talking about this was I think this was an excellent result. And here's why I'm saying this. I get what you're saying. It could have went the wrong way, but it didn't. So I'm saying this is excellent in the moment. Like what happened tonight is
but you're only saying it's excellent because you avoided a bad outcome.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's an excellent outcome. That's literally what I'm saying.
No, you're saying it's excellent because you avoided a bad outcome. That's not what makes something good.
No, this was still an excellent outcome. This is the most dynamic of the tribal councils that we've literally had all season.
Oh, if they don't do this tribe slam dunk Shannon vote, this was easy.
No,
this wasn't an interesting vote
because we're watching it from that perspective.
The risk of either of those two tribes losing was not worth the upside of getting a predictable Shannon vote here. You have to understand,
it's not that predictable to a lot of people. It's really not. Like,
oh, I thought this was the way they built the tribal with Joanne saying, oh, so Shannon and Steven are going to write my name down potentially. That's fine. I don't want to look like someone who turned on original Uli, so I'm just going to vote 2-2 here with Sage. It's like, no, of course they're going to go up to Steven and tell him, and Steven's going to be like, yeah, I've been like shady and like getting weird, suspicious vibes from Sage since our last tribe when we dedicated an entire episode about her playing too hard and about, oh, Steven wakes up one morning and they're still using the infrared cameras and Shannon's whispering strategy in his ear. And the next scene is, I don't like it. By the end of that episode, they are all on to Shannon's antics. Sage has convinced him. In what world is Steven voting with Shannon here? I know they tried to disguise, but this was not a dramatic vote out whatsoever.
It was an excellent outcome because Shannon went home, and now I'm going to keep going with my talk here. The whole thing here is that you had the tribe where you had 3 people from original red, right? You had 3 people from the second version of yellow, I guess it was. So it could have been 3 people from red vote out Steven, or the 3 people from original yellow vote out Jawan. And instead we got the situation where Shannon goes home. Now, because we watch the show as closely as we do, and because I've done 4 podcasts on this show since the last episode aired, to me, it's very obvious Shannon was going home. I put her at the bottom of my power rankings. I thought it was very clear she was going home. However, I think that the way that this episode played out, the different scenarios that you had, it was the first time that there were actually believable scenarios for what was happening in this episode, right? Because when they're trying to tell me Jason's not going home and when they're trying to tell me Matt's not going home, you're wasting my time. They needed to do something. Look, the alternative to this is Sophie gets voted out on that Uli tribe because they lose again, or Shannon gets voted out anyway. This is a more interesting outcome than them not doing any type of swap at all. So I do think it was an excellent outcome for sure. You disagree with that?
I disagree. I think the more interesting outcome and to like increase your chances at having good TV is to do the idea that Jeff actually talked about. Like I think that was the worst part about it for me, is that clearly Jeff and co and the producers discussed, or at least thought, okay, this is going to be the backup plan, or this is the kind of the setup, it's the decoy, is that the people are going to come in and think, wow, we're merging at 12, as we've done so many times in the new era, and we're going to do 3 tribes of 4, and maybe the tribe that wins, they're immune, and the other 8 are up are vulnerable, or maybe the 8 vote. Anything. I think merging these groups together is way more interesting and way more less risky. At least then you're giving everybody a shot to one, compete in a challenge and win immunity and save themselves. And then at that point, you're at the merge. It's an individual game. That's how Survivor works. You need to make new relationships, rely on old relationships that you've made to save your ass and set up a path forward to win the game. That's far more interesting. What they just did at the tribe swap. That's not at all what they did at the tribe swap.
Yes, it is.
When they split into 3 groups of 4, we know who's going home no matter what when any of those 3 groups of 4 go to tribal, because 4 is such a small number. How many times did Jeff say there's no place to hide? There's no place to hide. Yeah, Jeff, there's no place to hide. That's not a good thing. I don't want to be on Survivor where I find myself in a situation where there's no place to hide. You know what that means? It means if you're a good player, like a really good player who's worked hard to put themselves in an excellent position in this game, got in the numbers, made relationships, all it takes is switching to 3 tribes of 4, not winning a challenge, and then you're just go home because that's how the numbers shook out. When you are going to that small of groups, it is increasing the chance of having a predictable unfair boot. So like it increases it by so much. If you have 2 tribes of 12 and then you split up to 3 tribes of 8, I wouldn't be mad. That's fine. There's enough wiggle room. When you are putting people on 3 tribes of 4, especially when you've seen the narrative this season being Uli versus Hina and having one tribe decimated, it's just not, you're just increasing the chance of getting unfair boots. It would have been so much more interesting and so much more fair to all the players out there if they actually do 3 tribes of 4 and as a merged tribe and 4 of those people become immune or some iteration of that. Just because we didn't get someone sniped here doesn't mean we can sit back and say, oh no, this was good. Like, I don't think this was very good. Like I knew Shannon was going home the entire time.
This is from Matthew here. Will's camera shaking. This is heated. Will, that was one of the most passionate little rants you've gone on in a very long time. It makes me happy.
Yeah. I just can't. When you said it's the same thing, no, going to 3 tribes of 4, I don't think like if you look at it from a crunching numbers standpoint, how badly you are increasing your chance of an unfair boot that has no drama. When you're producing a swap or producing a format of a show, you should be doing what you can to produce entertaining, dramatic scenes. And this is where we're like, we got lucky that we had a potential Jawan boot, a potential Shannon boot, even though, like I keep saying, no chance in hell. It could have been really bad, and it wasn't. But I'm just saying they should be very careful with going from 12 into 4 when you've already done a tribe swap.
Here's what I think that they're trying to do. And hear me out on this, because this is looking towards the future. And again, you've talked about this. You don't want to punt episodes. You only get an hour and a half. You get 13 hour and a halves each year, right? You don't want to punt. Part of me, though, does feel that they were thinking maybe after 46, maybe after 47, maybe after 48, the tribal lines, even when they had a swap, were sticking too much. And maybe this was their way of saying, let's get as many people to interact with each other before the merge as possible, so that it creates a different dynamic. Because now MC has been on a tribe for a couple days with Savannah, with Rizzo, with Sophie. They all know each other. Steven now knows Jawan, who he didn't know. Jawan's coming back and meeting Sage and Shannon at a different time. Christina and Sophie have played this entire game together. Alex is there too. Now Nate's been with them too. Maybe this is the way for the producers to try to get more people to interact before they just go into this mergatory thing. Because what was happening in these final 12s is a lot of the time when they would do this merge or do this mergatory and they would have half the tribe safe, half the tribe not safe, or whatever they were going to do, you would get it where just whatever tribe had the most people left normally was just losing a player. And it was whoever felt was most expendable. And the merge boots, this mergatory boot, was actually becoming unbelievably predictable. So I do wonder if this is part of the reason why they wanted to do it this way. And I get what you're saying. You are making it so that this could be the moment that eliminates a Tony from the game, and there's nothing Tony can do about it. This is the moment that could eliminate Sandra from the game, and there's nothing Sandra could do about it. It couldn't eliminate Parvati because she's never done anything wrong in her entire life. But all these other winners, it could screw them over.
It actually could have eliminated Parv. Honestly, that's how bad this was.
That's how bad this was. The Parb stands are going to murder you in the chat now. She can't be eliminated by anything.
Yeah, they just should have said, "Hey, they don't like this," just like me.
Yeah, but I think it's a bad twist. It's what I talked about when Malcolm went home in Game Changers. That twist led to a phenomenal, excellent, must talk about water cooler moment, and it ruined the season. And it was a terrible, terrible, terrible twist. It was a terrible idea because you got rid of one of your front runners, one of the fan favorites, one of the people on that season that people were most excited for. And they were always going to be the target of this because somebody with a big target on their back was always going to be targeted at that type of tribal council. Of course, you're going to take a shot at somebody who's good at the game. So that was a bad twist with a cool moment in the episode, and then it ruined the season. This is probably a bad twist with, I still think, an excellent outcome that might set up the betterment of this season and maybe is going to lead to more dynamics and maybe will lead to more shifting post-merge because the seasons haven't had that recently, with the exception of Genevieve, Andy, Sam, Rachel. They played a different game, but even that was a lot of get rid of blue, get rid of blue, get rid of blue. It was pretty simple.
Yeah, but I don't even view this in the same light as like that was a big swing, a big creative swing. Never seen anything like that where two tribes are going to tribal council and voting together to vote somebody off. Like that just hadn't happened before. We're still in the pre-merge. It's not how Survivor works. We're breaking format. We've had tribe swaps since season 3. Like just doing another tribe swap here is not my issue. My issue is the amount of people we have and the divisions, and how I don't think enough thought was put into how badly it could have ended up. And I'm glad we avoided it, but I think I've said it enough. This is more of like a probability argument and not so much on the creative of doing another tribe swap. So different merits there for the Game Changers twist. But yeah, I don't know why, especially because it seems like Jeff loves when we merge and it's so chaotic. I think simply merging here, even doing a normal merge, even just merging at 12 and one person wins immunity. I mean, is that so crazy? Like, I think anything where we're getting these groups together and off of these swap tribes that have been so brutally boring because we flubbed the tribe swap initially, like to take another crack at this, I think we got away with one here.
And this is the first time it's ever gone 3-2-3. And I also think that they wanted to do this because there's a chance in season 50 we're going to see a 3-2-3. There's a chance, and they wanted to see what they could get away with. Now, the benefit in 50 is you're going to have more numbers because you're starting with 24, you're not starting with 18. So if you go down to 2 at 18, now it's 2 tribes of 9, and then at 15 you go to 3 tribes of 5. That's still not great, but it's better than what we saw tonight.
Much better.
Yeah,
but tribes of 5 are so much more interesting than tribes of 4. The problem with tribes of 4, I haven't even said this point yet, is like if it's 3-1 and you're the one and you can't flip one person, like if you flip one person, it's still 2-2, and then you're asking people to go to fire or go to rocks or however it works, because 4 in the pre-merge is insane that we don't even really have a precedent for. I think maybe we've had some lost vote, and I don't know, we've seen some weird shenanigans in the new era, but you just open yourself up to so much risk of a 3-1 where there's just this obvious boot, and we did not get that. So I will say we didn't get it. It was obvious in other ways, more by the storytelling, but we can move on. We can move on.
Wait, I want to ask you this, though, before you move on, because this is where Jeff needs to understand the history of the show, because maybe it would impact the decisions he makes. Maybe he needs to surround himself with people who really understand the history of the show. Who is the first person voted out pre-merge of a 4-person tribe?
First person voted out pre-merge.
And I'm not saying that the tribe started with 4 people. I'm just saying there were 4 people left on this pre-merge tribe.
Yeah.
The first person voted out.
It was Chatia.
No.
Or no. It had to be Philippines, right?
No. It was season 4. Gina gets voted out by Pascal, Nalia, and Kathy.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. And guess what? Jeff was bummed Gina went home. Gina had the record until Say broke it last season for most confessionals of a pre-merge player. That's crazy. Like, think about that. We've had 1.5 hour episodes. We've had all-star season. We have all this stuff. It took Say in season 48 to beat Gina Cruz's record from season 4. A player that most people are going, who the hell is Gina Cruz? But she had the record, and Jeff hated that Gina Cruz went home in 11th place on that season. Yeah. So he should have known. He's got to remember this.
I don't know if that has any standing with what we're talking about. My issue is that we're we're putting together tribes of 4 this late into the game where sides have already been clearly established. That's the issue. If you start with a tribe of 8 or 9 and you vote your way down to 4, that's, you had your time to make relationships, and that's how Survivor, used to cook. So that's okay.
Let me ask you this. If every 2 episodes on a season they decided to do a tribe swap, so at 18, at 16, at 14, at 12, would you be more okay with this kind of twist happening where it's 4 tribes of 3 because there's more of a chance for everybody on the tribes who have already interacted with each other in some other set?
I mean, if that's the rules of the game and players know the rules of the game, and then that's kind of the game you're playing, I don't think that's as interesting as having 1 tribe swap. I think you could do 2, maybe do it a little bit earlier or start with more players, which we've seen. But no, look, I'm not against tribe swaps. I can't be more clear that I think tribe swaps are needed for this game. And sometimes the new era got pretty stale and we didn't have any. I think it's fun to not have them sometimes. I think it's fun to bring them back in and keep the players on their toes. Like I said, I think tonight, a big part of why they did this was to really shock the players, because every player out there really believed they were emerging. So kudos to really surprising the players in an era where I know Jeff has said, we keep you on your toes. We do not feel like our toes have been kept on whatsoever as an audience, and we kind of see the playbook and what's coming. So again, this was new and different. It's just, man, really risky here with 12 and 4, just from the numbers. Again, I'm okay to move on here.
Yeah. Let's move on.
I just feel like we've been talking about it for a while. I think we both made good points on why we liked it or didn't like it, or what worked and what didn't.
Yeah. And you make your statement there of you like tribe swaps. I make my statement here. I don't love this. But I don't find this to be that much more unfair than when they merge and then immediately demerge into 2 random tribes picked by rocks and all of that. Like, I just think it's all...
Yeah, no, sure.
It's silly.
Splitting, the later you get into the game, forming random groups becomes worse and worse.
Yeah. And that's why, and look, and this isn't a knock on the winners of the new era, but I think that's why the new winners of the new era aren't as highly revered.
You survive more randomness.
Yeah.
Which is, if you're relying on
harder
randomness,
to see the games.
It's less skill.
Yeah. It's harder to see the games. Okay. Let's talk about knowledge is power making its way back into this game.
Talk about a new era twist advantage that I love and defend wholeheartedly. Knowledge is power is back, baby. I'm sure this is what was available at the Journey last week for MC or Nate.
Now, how do you think it was determined to be on Sophie's tribe beach? Because Sophie's the only one who found some sort of twist here, and they were the tribe that finished first in the reward challenge. Do you think that had something to do with it, or do you think there was that there was a twist advantage on every tribe's beach?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess in the rules, you'd be like, all right, they get a chance at it because they won the challenge, and that's part of their reward. I think you could sell that as being fair. You could have had something on the other beaches that went unfound, and then we're just like, okay, they weren't found, and that's what happens. There's a world where it was on 2 of the winning beaches, and that it was only not on the tribe going to Tribal Council. But either way, glad it's back in the game. Glad that Sophie has it. Sophie's my winner pick. Phil, I've been listening to you on your predictions and power ranking. You ask many of these people who come on through, who do you got? I think Liz said Sophie. I'm pretty sure Rachel said Sophie. You might even have some others. So
Eric Reichenbach said Sophie as well.
Eric says Sophie. So people are hopping on to my winner pick. You can go look at the thumbnail of the premiere episode, and it has the crown, or whatever one has the crown. I had Sophie. So
yeah, you did. I have Jawan still. Here, we got a hot take in here from Rizgok. Can I put this up?
Absolutely.
This is hot take.
Poseidon over here.
I think being able to survive randomness is more impressive. Shows adaptability.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you're given the chance to survive randomness and do a good job, absolutely. I think in this scenario specifically, there might not have been a way to survive the randomness. I think that's what I have the issue with.
I think that's where what it comes down to here is surviving randomness is impressive if there's something you can do about surviving the randomness. Like you just surviving randomness because the randomness happened isn't necessarily awesome. Like Savage blew his game. Randomness hurt him, but he kind of blew his game, and other people were able to survive that back in Pearl Islands. When this kind of randomness happens, this isn't Adam Klein figuring out the best avenue to go in Millennials versus Gen X off of a random tribe swap. I get both sides of this.
Sure, no, I
Think
agree
there's
with
some
that.
strategy to surviving the randomness to make that more impressive.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that sentiment. I think but there has to be a point where we cross a line, and I'm not asking for a straight up chess game. I think there's always randomness to Survivor. You know, who's on your starting tribe being one of the biggest things. Like, ingratiate yourself with people on your starting tribe. To me, that's random, but that's a big skill of Survivor. I think where it becomes difficult is where you don't have any outs. And we even heard this line from Steven here tonight where he says, I'm basically drawing dead, or I'm going to make it on to the next stage of this game. And that's where I'm at. And I think that's why, because I did see some chatter over here in the chat being like, why didn't Steven play shot in the dark? He didn't really need to vote. I think because he wanted to build trust and that he knew, look, they're either coming after me and this is 3-1 and I'm screwed, or maybe they are working with me. Maybe Shannon really is going home, because he was told things from Shannon. He was told things from Sage. I'm sure Jawan got in his ear. I'm sure Steven's head was spinning in circles. Look, I have 3 original Uli people and I might be screwed. But I think he doesn't play his shot in the dark so that he can advance his game should he survive the vote, that he's established trust. Now he's voted with Jawan. He's voted with Sage. And if he plays the shot in the dark there to save his own butt, how does that appear to Sage? How does that appear to Jawan? Is that building a connection and move forward? Or is that Steven saying, I can't wait to go back with my yellow helicopter, my yellow helicopter, Hina friends? And that's why Steven plays that way. He's like, there's a chance I'm just drawing dead. There's a chance I'm screwed. Yeah. And like, good thing Steven wasn't. But if you go at those other 2 tribes, I think they absolutely were. And I don't think surviving randomness was even an option.
I think the thing with Steven too is you have to remember he's had so much time with Sage now. This wasn't the first time he got with Sage. He knew Sage's disgust with Shannon had grown. He knew that was legitimate. He knew that wasn't just, I'm trying to save myself. He knew exactly how Sage felt about Shannon, because Sage had told so many people and it had become authentic. It had become knowledge at that point. So yeah, I think that, you know, it's like, I thought Steven's line there was fantastic of, you know, there's nothing I could do anyway. If the vote doesn't go the way I wanted it to go, there's nothing I could do.
How Survivor goes.
Sophie Valerdi does in fact know that Rizgod has his idol, but she was saying maybe now I can figure out who else has an idol, which I think she might end up finding about MC soon, since MC approached Rizgod today and told him that she knew about the idol. What do you think about this moment?
Yeah, I mean, for MC, it really depends on the way you do it, like how much tact you use. And I think that was what was actually good about this from MC. I think it's risky. I don't know if she needed to do this. I don't know if the upside is all that high here, but at least it felt like, yo, I just want to let you know that I know. And it wasn't like, hey man, I know about your idol, better watch out. Like, it wasn't threatening at all. And I think when you let someone know that you are aware of an advantage they have, it can come off as, look at me, look what I know about your stuff. I know what game you're playing. I think she did it in a very cool, chill way. Just like, hey, I'm letting you know we're friends here. We're on this beach together. We're both playing this game. And I think it was a nice olive branch. I don't know if it's going to lead anywhere. Hopefully it does. But yeah, I'm okay with this from MC just because it was done very well.
And I think MC realizes the writing's on the wall that Hina's losing numbers. So she needs to find a way. If she thinks this is the power trio, potentially, she's got to find a way to get in with them. And so to start having this conversation with Rizzo, it might not come across as the threat, but it's also letting him know if you start blatantly coming after me, I'm going to go tell other people. Also, I'm letting you know Sage told all of us. So we all know you have it. How do you feel about Sage now in case we do get there? You shouldn't be feeling super comfortable with all the Ulis here. So I kind of like this from MC. We haven't seen a lot of game from her. It's all been physical. But I don't know. I didn't mind this.
I think we've MC she still hasn't had to go to tribal council. So like there's not a lot of game we could have seen from her. But I remember in the early parts of this game when we're on our initial tribes, people were coming up to her, do you want to be the 4th? And she's like, wait, am I the 4th? Does that mean you 3 are closer? Like what we've seen game awareness from MC. Now she hasn't really had to use it yet, but yeah, there's game within MC. We've been shown that. I feel strong about that despite her not going in any tribal councils.
Yeah. All right.
I'm defending my fantasy team pick, Phil.
Hey, Blake's down to 3 people now. Just so you know.
I got MC and I think the second round pick. I took Rizgod, R-I-Z-G-O-D.
In the second round. Not a good pick, Will.
Not a good pick. No.
Not a good pick. You took MC
No.
in the third. Oh, wait, you're actually down to 3 people. You lost Jason, too. And once you look at that, I have 5 of the final 11. It's just crazy how it always works out. Will, how would you put on flippers a quarter mile away from the ocean?
No.
What was he doing?
Yeah, no, I've used flippers before, and I think that maybe I've made that mistake years and years ago. And it can happen where it's like, oh, I can just throw these on, and then I remember, I think even, you take them off, you go, well, that was dumb. You walk in the sand, and then what you do is you actually put them on in the water.
Yeah.
Because then it like lubricates the inside. It gets rid of all the sand that's going to scratch up your foot. And I'm pretty sure that's the way you do it. But then he did get to the ocean, and I was shocked. He took them off. I was like, fine, he takes them off, at least go in. And then he doesn't even go in. I thought he was at least going to make it farther in and give it a go. But might not be a Poseidon, but he is a god of this game.
At least we got a in mass confessional from Rizgod. At least we got that, where he says that tasted like garbage. Just like that. Yeah, he's not Rupert. Sorry, Rizgod. You're not quite there yet. You'll get there. That's really all we got from that tribe. It seems like that tribe, we kind of knew they were going to survive. All 4 of them felt way too important, right?
I think that was another, not to harp on the tribe swap, but it did feel like we're never going to spend time with these tribes again. Like tribe swaps that last only one cycle, I will say I'm pretty out on. And that might be another reason why.
Well, that's why I'm out on splits for one cycle too. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, no, I've been on that train for a while. I think then doing a tribe swap for one round, it doesn't really do much. Like when you swap tribes, you want to see the dynamics. They're gonna have to live together, do challenges together, put each other off. Here it's like, oh, you did a couple challenges together. Nice. Yeah. We're never going. We're like to see that those tribes for one episode. It's like, okay, does that even what even went down? Doesn't matter.
We did get a reward challenge. That's exciting.
Yeah, I guess that was exciting.
And neither challenge ended in a puzzle.
Crazy.
They haven't really ended many in puzzles this season.
I think we're at 2 right now.
Yeah, it's really low. Whatever it is, it's really
low. Yeah.
All right, so that tribe, who would have thought Savannah, Rizgod, Sophie Balerdi, and MC would all survive this episode?
See, we kind of knew that.
I know. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know. And I know you're saying that sarcastically, but not even from a physical standpoint. Like you're talking about from that all 4 of these players have shown to be big players. We know Savannah and Rizzo on 50. Like Sophie's one of the biggest characters this season. And then MC we know has an idol and is also shown to be like, okay, there's something cooking here. So yeah, that would have been pretty shocking.
Yeah. So let's go to the tribe that scared me a little bit. Sophie, Christina, Alex, and Nate. I was getting a little worried for Nate, and you said it too, when Christina was just kind of throwing the stick. It felt like they were maybe throwing this to get Nate out of the game, and that would have sucked. Because that would have been the worst scenario, I think, out of all of them.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing too. Once you do it with these tribe swaps, not to go back to it, then you open up a tribe throwing. Yeah. Like that becomes an option for these players. And honestly, we should probably talk about whether that would have been the correct move if you're Christina, Sophie, and Alex. Alex has now pretty much ingratiated himself in with the original Hele, right? Hele.
Yep. No,
the yellow.
He's in with the original Hina. Jeez, yellow is Hina. Come on, Will.
So
focus.
Too many short tribes that all sound the same. Hina. So Alex is in there. You've just lost 2 members. Why not take out Nate here and just throw it? Like, unless you're really afraid that he has some sort of idol or advantage. Mm-hmm. The only thing that kind of saved me from thinking they weren't going to lose was how obvious it was that it would have been if they did lose. Where it's like they could have, if that tribe was really going to lose, they wouldn't have set it up so clearly that Nate was out of here in the pre-challenge scenes.
And who were we hearing that story from? Sophie and Christina, who we don't know at all in any way, shape, or form. So if Sophie and Christina were going to be pulling this over on Nate, people would have been pissed. That would have sucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was scared for a second. Now,
brief second.
And you mentioned, was this the right move? Would it have been the right move to vote them to throw the challenge and vote Nate out of the game? I don't think so if you're Alex. And the reason is, honestly, I don't think so if you're any of them, because you need to find a way to get in with some of the Ulis and find the cracks. And if you're throwing a challenge, get rid of your only connection to the Uli tribe. That's not good. I just feel like that would have been a bad move. I feel like you're probably better off playing it out, trying to make a relationship with Nate, and especially if you're Alex, because you don't know what Sophie's relationship is like now with the Ulis, and you don't know if you can get in on that. So yeah, I don't know.
I almost think I think you have enough intel now that Uli isn't one big happy family. And so if you had a shot to take out Sage or Shannon, because I mean, let's look at who's on this tribe. Sophie, Christina, and Alex were all aware about Shannon throwing Sage's name out and then Sage throwing Shannon's name out. So they're not under this false kind of narrative of Uli being strong six, going all the way in, final six. They know there's cracks there, and they know those cracks don't involve Nate. They know that Nate has been at the center, at least from what they can tell, that Nate's been voting off. They voted off Matt, then voted off Jason, and that those four over there have been sticking together. But there are cracks over with the other two. So if you're able to splinter that faction, get rid of Nate, and then you know Shannon and Sage are already dueling, and you're still at 5, plus you have Alex, and maybe Alex pulls in Sophie, then you're kind of taking numbers back as you're heading into a merge. And I don't know, leaving it up to fate that you're going to just, Steven's going to be fine. I'm sure Steven's going to be fine. I mean, I guess you could use the same reasoning. We know Sage and Shannon hate each other, so it's probably one of them goes instead of Steven. But I don't know. You'd rather take out the person who's been at the core and center of that alliance.
No, and that's a really good point, because Christina, Alex, and Sophie all know how Shannon and Sage are right now, right? They know that Shannon might think they have a relationship, but they know that Sage was willing to throw Shannon under the bus, and that Sage was willing to share the information about Rizgod. So you got to feel good about where you are with Sage. And if you don't feel good about where you are with Shannon, so what if they're split up? Sage is probably going to be looking for a home when all is said and done. So that probably does make sense. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not saying it was
scary, right?
I'm not saying it's an obvious, like, I can't believe they didn't do it, but I was kind of thinking they might, and now even bringing it up, it's like, wait, why didn't they? Like Nate seems to be someone who is way more connected and would be a bigger threat and target to get out versus hoping Sage or Shannon gets the boot on the other tribe.
Yeah, and Rizgod wants us to talk about his disc throwing, his peak athleticism. But the highlight, I think, of any of the challenges tonight, although the disc throwing is pretty good, he killed the others. The highlight, I think, was Nate in the maze, talking through that maze with Sophie. I thought was really great, because he had said earlier on in the episode that he's a stay-at-home dad. He's like, a dad of 2 daughters, whatever. I don't know how old they are. But I feel like this showed his patience as a dad. And that was coming through with, hey, take a breath. Let's go to the next. He had a smile on his face the entire time. His demeanor was crazy. I was pretty impressed.
He was chill. For someone who I'm like, you are going to lose. You're getting voted out if you don't win this. He was calm, cool, collective, right? When Rodney's words.
And what was the smartest thing that he did? Even though Christina could have thrown the challenge, because everybody had to do one phase. Even though Christina could have thrown the challenge, he put himself at the end. He made sure he was on the end. And if you're in trouble, you always have to put yourself at the last portion of the challenge, because Jeff is going to give everybody else enough of a hard time. Don't let them pull a Rome and just keep going through puzzle pieces and never put one in.
Yeah, they were almost, I mean, this was a very throwable challenge. Even Christina could have done it. And then even if Nate is there, like Sophie could be like, yeah, cool, dude. I know you want to stay, but sorry.
People were asking
nowhere.
People were asking, did Sage and Jawan throw it? Because at the end there, they're just launching it off the puzzle or off the maze.
I mean, worth talking about, right?
It wouldn't be the worst move to do that, but I don't think they did, because Jawan didn't know. He was ready to keep working with Shannon.
Yeah. It didn't seem like Shannon or that Juwan didn't know that until after when Shannon's like, all right, let's vote out Juwan.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then
Thoughts
the other
on Shannon. Our thoughts on Shannon.
that was about enough of Shannon. I think 6 episodes is a good amount of Shannon. I don't think she was a necessarily a bad casting choice. I'm confused as to.
I don't think she was bad. I just think I don't think she was a good Survivor player. But I found her a little bit fascinating in that we've seen some of these overconfident strategists, and they often go home very quickly. But it just took her so long to get to tribal council that she thought she was this master manipulator of the game, and stuck around. Like she felt like a Drew. She felt like a Chris Noble. Felt like maybe a Zayn or even a TK. More recent example, someone who's controlling things. Where you get the line of, she's not even Sage is even strategizing. I'm running the show, and all this is happening around her without her knowing. And so it was kind of fun, at least having someone like that make it kind of deep into a season and still not know. It's like she didn't figure it out.
I said Shannon was going to be the first boot of the season, and she went home at her first tribal council. If she had lost earlier, I think she probably goes home at her first tribal council most of the time. I know she was close with Savannah.
Well, she was in the core 4 over on the original Uli.
Yeah, I think that, again, I'll mention Philippines since that's what we're doing. Abby Maria going as deep as she does in Philippines is too much Abby Maria. This was the right amount of Shannon. I think if Shannon goes to final 7, final 6, I'm starting to roll my eyes and go, okay, this is enough. This is enough. I don't need more. I mean, Will, do you remember when you were in the womb?
Of course. I had visions. Yeah. I could feel myself trying to breathe.
Yeah. I do that all the time. That's how I feel 95% of my day. I just feel like I'm trying to breathe. Yeah, that was weird. And again, like those are the kinds of things that I think she's fine on the show, but there's just certain things that I feel like might click with a casting team that says, wow, that's funny. That's unique. Let's put them on the show. And I think for most audiences, they're just like, I don't like, who is this? What are we doing?
Yeah, well, in a cast of so many people that are super quirky, then the quirky people don't stand out as much and they don't become as, like, you're not dying for quirks anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone's quirky. And so that's why, and we talked about it.
Yeah, everybody on
casting is kind of, everyone's a nerd and everyone's quirky. We got more. You like Marvel movies too? No way.
It's crazy. Wait, you've heard of them? That's nuts.
Whoa. Oh my God, man. It's like, all right, like enough of that.
I know. And the stuff they're bonding over, they're finding very basic
dad jokes.
Yeah.
It's like I know. Also, dad jokes, everyone likes dad jokes.
Yeah.
I think there's this weird kind of thought or opinion that, oh no, everyone hates dad jokes. They're cheesy and lame. Like most people go, all right, that's a good one. Like if you have a good dad joke, and then people are like, oh my gosh, I love dad jokes. It's like, yeah, I think everybody likes good dad jokes.
Yeah. Yeah. Meet Patty was pretty solid though. I like that.
Yeah, Meet Patty.
I think what gets me on all of this is, again, it goes back to what are they bonding over? It's the most basic stuff when it comes to like the pop culture references and stuff. You either think back in Tocantins, Brendan knew like what Eddie George, or they couldn't believe who was it that Brendan knew somebody, didn't he? Or
Brendan was someone's like cousin's roommate.
It was so random.
Yeah.
It was so random. And so I don't know. And it was Marcus. No, I'm on the wrong season. It was Marcus with
Marcus and Crystal. Yeah.
Yeah. They had a connection. And so I'm not saying you have to have that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
Phil, like, what are we talking? We can expect people to know each other.
No, but when it's
roommates,
when you're hearing
over here.
When you're hearing episode after episode, see what's your favorite Pokemon? What's your favorite Marvel movie? It's like this is the most basic surface
favorite dad joke
culture. Yeah. And then last season it was what's your favorite? David's asking people what's your favorite movie, and Camilla and Kyle could only name Holes. Like, what are we doing? Who are the people they're putting on the show?
The only movie you can name is Holes. I mean, I don't. Holes is pretty good.
Holes is good, but that was Camilla said that's the only movie she watched. What are we doing?
I don't know. We've seen some people bond over other, like, didn't Camilla and Kyle, Shaheen and Joe bond over like their families and their immigrants?
Yeah, which has also not been. Who was the third person in that? Joe.
Yeah, I said yeah.
Kyle, and who was the other? I can't remember the other one.
Camilla.
Anyway. Shaheen. Oh no, Camilla was the other.
Yeah, I said it all.
Oh,
What? Do you have a good dad joke?
No.
I have a good dad joke, I think.
You got them all lined up.
No, this is just a good joke, I think. So, like the scuba divers, right? Why is it that they always fall like backwards off the boat?
Why?
Because if they fell forward, they would just fall into the boat.
Nice. Nice. Like that. Good job.
I don't know the actual reason, something with air pressure, but I do love that joke.
Yeah, that's nice. Thanks, Will. All right. Philly and Willie. Let's do it. I go first on this. I always forget.
Always, yeah. Philly and Willie.
Philly. I am going Sage. I think it's a no-brainer. I think Sage might have just saved the season. I think Sage makes it so that the post-merge is now interesting. I think that the post-merge is now way more exciting because of this moment. I know I shouldn't be looking too far ahead because it could end up being a dud, but the Ulis are not getting back together. Shannon going home here was huge. Savannah's going to be pissed. That's going to make everybody start thinking a little bit differently. Now we're going into the post-merge where there actually feels like there's some maneuvering that can go on. We could come out of this at Final 10, we could have 4-4-2 because Sage goes home at Final 11. I think that this sets up for a really exciting post-merge. And also, this is the right move. Get rid of the person you don't like. Just get rid of the person you don't like at all. And make it happen. It's not a bad strategic move. It's a good strategic move, even if it's going to piss off some other people. Now you're also kind of signaling to the people that you just told, hey, Shannon is not in my alliance, that you weren't kidding, right? So now everybody who was just on her last tribe, Alex, Christina, Sophie, they all know that she's not full of shit. You can trust Sage a little bit more. So maybe Sage has a home. I think Sage did a great job here. So I'm going to go with Sage for the Philly.
Yeah. That's a good answer. And I will say, Phil, as much as I've ripped on this tribe swap and maybe didn't find this episode as entertaining as you or other people, and then I think the boot was super predictable, there was good enough things happening. I think the prospects for the post-merge are very high. Like, I could see this being a very fun end of the season. I, for the love of God, hope that it is better than 48's post-merge. So, and I believe it will be. So,
yeah.
I think we have a good group of characters left. I think the divisions are interesting. Like you just mentioned with Sage, like she kind of took the first shot here. And, how's the rest of Uli going to handle that? And where do, Alex and Sophie fall? I'm with you that we have something cooking here. I don't know if it's been that interesting on our way to get to this merge, but this merge can be very fun. I'm willing to have a great time and be very positive moving forward if we get good Survivor.
You will never be positive fully moving forward. Get out of here. Don't lie.
I do. I praise when I see good things, I praise the show for it.
Somebody had commented on our last episode that it was refreshing to hear people try to find the positive in the episodes rather than just dwelling on the negatives. Because I guess that's what most of the Survivor podcasts. I mean, I feel like that's kind of been what the Survivor podcasts have done for a while. Obviously, I'm not talking about Rob and some of the other bigger ones, but like if you see a new Survivor podcast pop up, most of the time it's because they want to complain about Survivor. And so I don't know. I know that there's one Survivor podcast that's just been taking shots at the season nonstop. That's like really not even much of a Survivor podcast. But anyway, it's like they're taking shots nonstop. And that does get old, I think, for the players and for everything. So we try to find the positive. I'm going to shit talk if it sucks. And we've done plenty of that so far this season. But, I keep saying if they're making steps in the right direction, you got to celebrate those little steps. And I've been saying that all season. And that's why I think, 3 tribes of 4 isn't the smartest decision they've ever made. But at least they're trying something new. And I have to kind of commend that they're trying something new. First time we've seen 3-2-3 ever in Survivor history. Good.
Yeah. I don't know if I can agree that it was good, but
at least they're trying something. That's
who
a step
gets
in the right direction.
Who gets the Willie here? I don't really have a good option. A couple contenders would be Jawan potentially. I do think the confessionals we saw for him were just completely to throw us off the obvious Shannon boot because we got this weird, Shannon wants to get me out, but I don't want to be the first one who breaks up Uli. And like that seemed very odd to me. It's almost like those were produced confessionals or taken out of order or taken out of context or something. Because that was a weird thought process. And I don't know if Jawan was actually thinking or feeling that way. And it could have just been for an interview bite. So it's hard to give that to him. I mean, Christina, maybe because she couldn't handle the tribe swap, but that feels kind of mean.
I'm
So
gonna put up Nick Snyder here. Will had an hour to think about this award and had nobody on deck.
I did. I've so far said two people, Joanna or Christina, and then maybe Sophie there for not throwing the challenge at the end. Because she could have thrown it, and I think it probably would have been wise. She had all the intel. She knew that Sage and Shannon were feuding. Keep them in the game.
Are you asking me to make the decision here? Like,
Well,
I feel
who
like
do you
wanna
like?
commit.
Who do you like out of these?
I think Christina.
Okay.
I don't even think it's being mean, dude. I think at this point, if you're passing out over a tribe swap, you got to send a message to the casting team at some point. This has never happened before. What are we doing?
Yeah, and Christina also knows about Shannon Sage feuding, and that couldn't she have? She was also on that tribe, but
And
she
she
could have
was
thrown
in
the
the
challenge.
best position.
Yeah,
to
she
throw
really
the
could have
challenge.
thrown
She
the
was
challenge. So much so I thought she was. So for those
Yeah.
two reasons, it's not just her passing out, although it contributes to it. She also maybe could have made a move and
James Barber with a good point here. Christina also made Sophie not trust her. That was something that came up because Christina said, I want Sophie, we'll tell Nate that you're the other option. And Christina,
Sophie was never tell your ally to be the decode boot, especially when you don't need to yet and you know you're not going to Tribal Council. That's pretty Survivor 101 right there. Good point. So Christina gets the Willie.
Christina gets the Willie. So we got Christina and we got Sage. In terms of prop bet stuff, Shannon had a confessional in every episode and got 5 or fewer votes. I got to look at other stuff. I'm falling a little bit behind on the prop bet. I got to get back into it. I'll give an update at some point coming up.
Did she have her mouth blurred?
I don't think Shannon did. Shannon's not a cursor.
She's a woman of God.
Yeah, she didn't curse. She didn't curse. Yeah, Shannon's definitely taking a beating from the internet. So that's, I hope we're not beating.
Yeah, I think the internet's way too mean. I think Shannon was a little thought she was too much in control. And honestly, if her original Uli tribe goes to Tribal Council earlier, it's probably better for her game.
Yeah, I'm not a religious person at all, but there's just like a very popular take to just beat down people who are religious on Survivor recently. And it's funny watching the early 20s because that's such a narrative. Oh my God, there's so much religion talk. Just even in Philippines, Lisa Welchel, that's her whole story. And I think it becomes the popular thing. You get a couple likes, you get a couple retweets. It feels good to beat somebody else down. I'm not religious at all, but like, I don't think that that's really a necessary reason to just beat the shit out of Shannon for no reason. I think it's stupid, but it's just my 2 cents. If you made it an hour and 7 minutes into this podcast, that's how I feel about the whole thing. I think it's stupid. I'm only heckling Shannon for her on-screen antics, and she got played. She got beat. She went for a hug, and she got a handshake.
I think you could probably, rip into her Survivor game and skills, thinking that she was this social butterfly over on these tribe swaps, but just not really getting traction and not realizing that. The religion stuff. I mean, if you're like using religion as a weapon or as a means to manipulate people, I think you can rip into that if you want to. I don't know if Shannon went that far with it, but I wouldn't rip on somebody simply because they come out as like a religious person. I don't think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah. Weird. Anyway, no journeys, Nick Snyder says. Let's throw that in too. No journeys. No journeys, Will. No journeys. Are you happier with a reward challenge than a journey?
I don't know. I don't know.
After all this, you don't care anyway.
I think the reward challenge was fun on its own. It's tough. It's almost like this tribe swap becomes more interesting if there is also a journey. So it's like, okay, we know there's such a high chance that someone could get completely screwed, but we're also doing a journey. But then it's like we're doing too many formatted things. Like, let me see them play Survivor. So I don't know if there was there's nothing good to pair with a tribe swap that leaves groups this small.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Rest of the week, we got a bunch of guests on. I got Bruce from 44 and 46 tomorrow at 5:15 p.m. For anybody who's looking for Blake, Blake's not in tomorrow. He'll be back for the next Thursday, and he's not missing another Thursday the rest of the year, but he's out again tomorrow.
Wait, Bruce was on 45, not 46.
45 and 46. No, he's 44. What are you talking about?
No, I said
45. 44.
I said, yeah, you said 44 and 46.
I just knew that he had a couple months in between his visits, So 44 and 45. And then on Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, I got Cassidy from 43. So that'll be fun.
Fun. Love 43.
And then on Tuesday, Tegwith has Star from 48.
All right.
We got a hell of a lineup coming out this week. In
Great.
addition, we're going to have Survivor Rewind for John and McKenna. So that'll be happening tomorrow as well. So we got plenty of stuff going on here on the channel. It's going to keep getting better, I feel, as the season goes on. I feel like people are going to start getting more excited now that the merge has hit.
I think so. And that's honestly why I kind of wanted to merge. I wanted to get out of this pre-merge as soon as we could. And the fact that we had to linger on one more episode, we got away with one here, like I said. But I'm excited for the merge. I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, love it. Will, last thing I got to say here. Dodgers down 6-1. How you feeling?
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, there you go.
It's hard to root for the Blue Jays. I don't know. It's like I don't want to root for the Blue Jays. You know? It's like, what is it? The American Classic, Summer Classic. There's a lot of patriotism that goes with baseball. It's an American tradition.
American pastime. Well, come on.
America's pastime. That's what I was looking for, Phil.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't bother me, though, if they win. I kind of think it's funnier that a Canadian team has not won the Stanley Cup in, like, what, 30 years?
92 or something like that?
Like, it's been forever. And that's kind of one of their national sports. I know weirdly lacrosse is also one of their national sports. But, you know, Canada is a big hockey country, and we don't really care about hockey as much as they do. And the fact they haven't won it, I think that's funny. And so I really want to keep the Stanley Cup out of Canada's hands. But anything goes when you're playing the Dodgers. We do not like the stinky Dodgers.
Yeah, and when Dave Roberts is crying and complaining that he has to cross into Canada to play baseball games, it's like, dude, I hope you lose the World Series in Canada, and I hope they're just like, let's keep you here for a little bit longer, buddy.
I don't know why they're sticking with this rotation or with this lineup here. The order of it. I think leading off with Shohei is kind of not smart. I think you got to put him at 2 or 3, and you know, let your other batters see some pitches, knowing that Shohei's up behind them. You know.
Yeah.
We can't just load a guy on base for free. So
anyway,
there we go.
There you go. There's our baseball talk. All right, we're getting out of here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, become a patron, patreon.com/The Specialist. We're going into Philippines starting next week for Every Season Matters. So check that out. I got my after show coming out tomorrow. I'll give updates for the fantasy game and the bootless game. Yeah, no, not bootless game. What am I talking about? Fantasy game and power rankings game. God.
There you go.
Updates for both of those on my after show tomorrow. We just did a rock draw that was pretty good. We covered 3 topics. That was a good one. I always love doing the rock draws. That's where we take your topics and do something with that. I'm still doing some stuff for Australia, so that's been fun. That's it. That's what we got. So go check out patreon.com/The Specialist. Hope you all enjoyed this episode. I had fun doing it. I know that Will had fun doing it. Will got
I love getting into it with you, chopping it up, and yeah, I think we both made good points, and we're excited for the merge. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Next time we see both of us, it'll be after the merge, and man, do we need that. All right, guys. See you later.
See ya.